So here it is, 18 years later. I don't know if you're like me, but you were probably celebrating the Island Tour anniversary here. You know, I don't know what it is about certain runs with these guys, but this one, for whatever reason, just sticks around. You know, back in the early days when I was first digging into the older Phish, 4/3/98 was one of the early shows I got my hands on. Wasn't even a soundboard, and I still wore that fucker out. Eventually, they all come out on, you know, livefish.com, so it's no problem now. You've heard them all. 4/5, how it got overlooked for somehow. I don't know, somehow for years. I never knew there was a 4/5. I just thought the Island Tour was 3 days somehow. I don't know what happened there. I think early on, when I was a total noob, just thought it was 3 days, and that was just all I ever knew. I don't know. So you can imagine how grateful and surprised and awesome it was when I found that 4th day on the 5th, although still to this day, probably the one that I've listened to the least. The Possum Jam. If you were ever going to listen to a Possum Cavern, I suppose this would be the one. Just kind of, not just, you know, the way that jam was just kind of summed up the whole 4 nights, what they had just done. Started big. The first night, like I said, 4/3 was my favorite night, but maybe just because of all the Carini hijinks. You know, I would never recommend running on stage, but I think I know what that guy was up to. And that second set, that Rose's Piper was just unbelievable. Like, you know, up here, Phish, legendary status, best ever type stuff starting the second set. Then they go into Loving Cup. This dude just rushed the stage, man. He was like, I got to put it into this shit, dude. We got to get back to business. And it worked, you know. Carini got him off stage, led to a fiery Antelope. You know, a bunch of more Carini's going to get you, more Carini smack, and boom, there you go. One of my favorite second sets ever. You know, the first night had that stash. There's a twist in there that might also have been the first night. First Birds of a Feather ever. Big Birds of a Feather guy here. Both. Loved writing both on the CDs back in the day. It's not the, you know, it's not why I like the song. Maybe it's part of the reason why I like the song. There was the other night, Tweezer. Seemed like every night had a pretty badass opener. The Mike's Groove opened up one night. Tweezer opened up another night. A Hood Encore. A Guyute Encore. Basically, this run had a lot going for it, is why we're still here 18 years later, I guess. You know, some debuts, some amazing jams, but ultimately, sadly, for a while there, you know, you had Big Cypress, okay. Big Cypress was its own thing, but then this was maybe, for a while, it seemed like, damn, was that the last of the greatness runs anyhow? 98 had some great shows. 99, dare I say, even had a great show or two. 2000, man, you know, you see why they took a break. 2003 and 4, you know, a show here and there. More misses than hits by 04. Thank God for summer of 2015 is what I'm saying. Maybe now we can finally, well, we'll still always listen to the Island Tour. But maybe as far as the Island Tour and Big Cypress being it, I think 2015 hopefully took care of that. You know, I don't know if it had that necessarily that run, though. I mean, I guess sure it had a Magna Ball. Pfft, Magna Ball, dude. Fuck out of here. Island Tour. Island Tour. You want to, this is what they'll show you about the Island Tour, man. I don't know if you follow me on Twitter or not, but I posted this. Always repping, son. That covers my window on the front door. Come from an old, I think, 2009 or something calendar. Oh, yeah, dude.